Hi, you guys. Sorry about that. I was trying to do this live thing on Zoom because I have a Zoom account, and I was trying to figure that out. And for some reason, um, it wasn't working. So I apologize about that. Anyways, there was a couple of people that were actually logging on. I'm just going to wait until people start logging on. Hi, Kent. How are you doing? I'm just waiting. I actually tried to go live with Zoom, and it wasn't working for some reason. I have no idea. I need to exercise my technical abilities, I guess. And anyway, so just kind of waiting for a couple of people to log on. Hi, you guys. How are y'all doing this morning? Nice Friday. Okay. I saw Denise log on a minute ago, and then she logged off. So just waiting for a couple more people. There was Ollie. He was on. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started instead of just waiting for everybody. I'm trying to learn new things, and yeah, so I was trying to figure out how to do the Zoom conference so I could do Facebook Live and YouTube at the same time, because I'm trying to build up my YouTube following. I just started a YouTube, what do you call it, account, and I have like 100 subscribers. So if I'll put my link of my YouTube in here, and if you guys want to subscribe, that would be awesome. I would be super happy about that, and at least to help me with building my my YouTube following. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in there right now. So you guys, if y'all could subscribe, that would be awesome. I'm gonna start posting on YouTube as soon as I learn how to do YouTube Live. Wow, I feel so stupid right now. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so we're on day 13 of spiritual bliss. So what we're going to talk about is a subject. Hey, Denise, I've been waiting for you. I saw you logged on earlier, and I was trying so hard to get this whole like Zoom conference thing on YouTube, and the video wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out why. So I just said, screw it. I'm going to just go ahead and log on to Facebook until I figure all this out. Hi, Ollie. Good morning. Good morning. So waiting on both of you guys because I saw y'all tried to log on earlier. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, so this is a tough one. Okay, this is a tough subject that a lot of people have a hard time with, and that is there are no justified resentments. Oh boy, that's a good one, right? No justified resentments. Think about anybody that you're resentful over. I mean, think about it. We all have somebody, right? We all have somebody that we're holding resentment about because they screwed up your life and it wouldn't have been for them. This would have happened and all this other stuff, right? So here's the thing, you guys. You got to take responsibility for your own choices, for your own life. So let me throw out a few examples, okay? So let's say hypothetically that you married somebody that actually gave you a really hard time about choices, okay? So, all right, so I'll throw you out one about me, you know, and I'm sure that I'll probably hear some flack about this, but anyways. Okay, so I was married for 13 years, divorced probably as many, and remarried. But then my first marriage was to a man named Michael, and he's a really great guy. He really is. But Michael comes from a very, he comes from a time or a thought process, and my mom's kind of like this too. It's like, you know, you work for a company, and you work a job, and you work hard, and, you know, that kind of stuff. And he, you know, he's more about being human, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I came into this world for a very specific purpose, okay? And I came into this world to help others, and that was my mission. And I knew this at a very young age. And I was trying to get started on that path when I was married. And I remember him saying to me, I don't want somebody that saves the world. What I want is a wife. And you know what? And he deserved that, you know, and he ended up remarrying and he got a wife. And that's great. But I needed a partner in life. I needed somebody who was going to support my thoughts. You need this, my teens, dad. Yeah. You know, and you know, I needed something different. And I have that now. You know, I have a partner in life, and my partner in life is he does his thing. I mean, he's got his thing that he's doing for his specific reasons to nurture his soul and to give him the things that he wants to make him feel good about himself. And he supports everything I do. So if I'm up late working on my book, if I'm, you know, doing videos like this or whatever, he's always in support of that. You know, do what you need to do, Michelle. I've got other things I need to do. And he gets it. He understands it. But when I was married, I might have placed blame on him, okay, and said, you're keeping me from doing this. No, but he wasn't keeping me from doing it. I was keeping myself from doing it. And I placed blame, and that was my fault, okay? And the reality is that maybe it wasn't the right time in my life to get started on that. I really needed to grow spiritually. I needed to grow as a person before I started teaching all this stuff and getting out there and being like a spiritual teacher. You know, I needed to have some growth in my life. I needed some maturity, okay? So now I'm 52 years old, and I wouldn't say I'm 100% mature because I do have childlike behaviors sometimes. But I think I choose that, and that's nobody's fault, okay? And I do have a partner that likes to have childlike behaviors sometimes, so we get along really good. We'll go to a toy store and play with balls, so it's fun. And I love life, you know? I mean, I do. I enjoy taking my dog for a walk and being outside and camping on the beach and doing all these fun stuff. But I've taken responsibility for the choices that I've made. And sometimes when we make these choices, those choices can be the things that we feel belong to somebody else, okay? So there is no justified resentment that you can place blame on. It's nobody's fault but yours. And I don't mean that as like, oh God, now I have to be mad at myself. I don't mean it like that. What I mean is that I don't mean that you should place blame on yourself. What I'm saying is you need to take responsibility for your choices and realize that those choices are only because of your, I mean, those repercussions or whatever you want to call it are only because of your choices, okay? So let me give you a couple other examples, okay? So I'll give you another one. My husband, he loves to work out, and we both do that together. That is something that we like to do together. And he lifts heavy weights, and he's like really been building some muscle, but he's still got like a layer of fat around his muscles. And he keeps on talking about how he wants to be cut. You know, it's like, I want to be cut. I want to, you know, and the only way that you can really get cut is to change your diet. And he wants to sit in bed at night watching Netflix, eating chips and dip or ice cream. And I'm like, hey, you know, dude, you can't get cut eating that way, okay? And so he wants to place the responsibility of not being able to get cut on the DNA of his forefathers or whatever that's in, oh, I'm just built that way. And I'm like, no, you know, you can, in fact, it was really funny because he was watching a video about this, and it's like everything I say, it's like, so you know, I'm sorry about when it comes to that kind of stuff, you know. And he was watching a video, so he ends up coming back in the kitchen while I was cooking, and he says, did you know that, you know, he goes, there's this terminology, and I can't remember which terminology it was called, but it's like when you're not what is it called? You're not like built to be muscular. Like some people, like they have muscle naturally without even trying, and some people are built to like be kind of leaner. Okay, so there's this program was talking about how to get past that and how to actually build muscle, even though your body wasn't like programmed to it. And he's like, and it has to do with the way you eat. And I'm just sitting here shaking my head going, okay. Anyways, I'm like, okay, whatever. So back to the topic here is that there is no justified resentments that you can place blame on. You've got to take responsibility for your life. You need to assign the responsibility to where it belongs in your life. And the only person that's responsible for what's going on in your life is you. I've had people say, well, I can't do this because these people depend on me. You know what? There's a story about Buddha. I don't know if you guys know this or not. But Buddha was married and he was a prince, still trying to let go of resentment of him and doing what was possible, bare minimum. Yeah, I understand that. So we can actually, I'll go back to that, Denise. There's a story about Buddha, and he was married and he had children, and he was a prince. And his father actually kind of created this whole kingdom around him because he had been to a seer, kind of like a psychic, who basically predicted that he was going to be the golden child. And so he was so afraid, and he thought that had to do with winning a war and all this other stuff. So he basically protected him, and they built these walls, and he wouldn't let and once you turned like 35 or 40, you were exiled out of the kingdom, and all he saw was beauty and wonder and all this other stuff, okay? And so one day somebody left one of the gates open, and he saw these old people, he saw these people suffering, he saw people, starving, and he didn't know what that was about. So he escaped from it. He left his wife, left his kids, left everything, and he went on this whole mission, and this mission was to discover suffering, okay? So I'm not telling you to go leave your wife and kids, okay? What I'm saying is that that's placing blame on your wife and kids. Oh, I can't go discover suffering. If Buddha would have said that, there never would have been a Buddha. Okay? And Buddha actually sacrificed a lot of things for this world. Look at Christ. He sacrificed his life for the world. Now, he could have made the choice of saying, you know what? I will just deny this, and I will do that, and I'll say whatever it is you want me to say and do whatever you want me to do so that I can live. And then there wouldn't be a whole story about Christ. There's so many stories out there about people that have actually, yeah, me too. I love Christ and Buddha. I love a lot of different, some of these stories about some of the different prophets and stuff. And so they're so incredible. Anyways, the thing is that you got to remove that blame from the circumstances in your life, because if you're really upset about a situation, like one of my clients said, well, I've got all these people depending on me, you can walk away from that. I'm not, if you feel just like Buddha did, he walked away. And he walked away from everything. And I'm not saying that you should, but nobody's telling you that you can't go feed the homeless in Africa or go build communities in a foreign country or join the Peace Corps if that's what you feel is going to give you a sense of purpose. What I'm saying is whatever it is that you feel that you want to do, you can do. I remember when I was married the first time, and I had made a choice when I was young before I met Michael, a stupid choice. It was a dumb choice, but I picked a boy over school. I graduated high school at 17 because I was really young. My birthday fell in August. And so I graduated at 17, and I had a boyfriend all through high school. And he wanted to get married, and he wanted to get married right out of high school. And so he basically kind of put it to me like, if I went to college, he wouldn't marry me. And he said that I needed to go get an apartment, move out, and we're going to play house for a little while and then get married. And so we're going to play house while we're preparing and, you know, for the wedding and all this good stuff. I had a scholarship to an art college, and I gave it up. And I gave it up for this boy because I wanted to get married, because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And so, and come to find out, he cheated on me, and he ended up canceling the wedding, and I had already lost my scholarship, and I had moved out on my own. So here I was, 17, 18 years old, living in an apartment, barely making it, working as a nail technician, and barely making any money. And I was trying to survive on my own. My parents had moved out of state, and I had already signed a contract on a lease, and my mom was like, you just need to come up here and we'll put you through school, we'll pay for it. And I'm like, I signed a lease, I'm going to screw up my credit. And so I made the choice, okay? I made that choice. I was a young, immature, young girl who made a dumb mistake over love. I chose love over, or, you know, whatever, as a kid. And the reality was, if he really loved me, he wouldn't have A, cheated on me, B, broke up with me, or C, told me I couldn't go to college. So, but I was stupid, and I'm taking responsibility for that. So what happened was I put out of my life, it kind of jolted it, okay? And it put a lot of stuff on hold. So when I met Michael, and I had already had my first child, Amanda, and she was young, really young, and I don't know, like, trying to remember, pretty young. And so I decided that I wanted to go back to school, because this was, that was my plan. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an artist. And I felt really strong and passionate about it. And he agreed. So he decided that he was gonna support that, and so I worked a full-time job and went to school and was a mother and did that. And then after and that was awesome, you know, but I made the choice of sacrificing. I mean, I could have said, oh, I can't do this. I found a way, okay? You know, Michael was like, we still have to pay bills and we still have to do this. And I was like, all right, I will figure out a way to make this happen. So I got a school loan. So I did that. I got some grants, and I figured out a way, and I went to night school, and I figured out a way to be able to manage it all. Okay. So I ended up doing this while I was, while all this was happening. And then of course it really paid off, because as you know, my very first job that I got, I started working as a graphic artist for Star Furniture, and then I worked for Home Theater Store, and then I started working for advertising companies. And I don't do that anymore, but I will tell you this, all of that has paid off in so many different ways, because I have the knowledge, the marketing knowledge, and the skills to be able to do some of the stuff for my own company now. And, you know, I could have taken a different path. I could have said, I can't afford to start my own business. I could have said, you know, I could have taken the route that everybody did. I mean, I took a really scary route, you guys. I got laid off from a professional job. I had no money, no place to live, and I ended up putting all my stuff in storage, moved in with my mom, and said, okay, I'm just going to take a chance. I'm going to see if the universe can support me on this. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I'll just go back to doing what I used to do. And you know, that's what I'll do. So that's what I did. I mean, I figured I'd give, you know, I figured I'd give it 6 months and see what happened. Well, it's been 9 years now. So, and I worked my ass off. I had to learn how to design websites, which I was a graphic artist, but I didn't know how to do that. I was more like print design and logos and that kind of stuff. And I had to learn a lot of things. I had to learn how to do audios and videos and all kinds of things that I needed to do to support my business. So what if I would have said, I just got laid off. I don't have a job to support this. I need to go find a job to support all my bills. And I did have bills, man. You know, I mean, not a whole lot, but I had to do something. So I worked a part-time job as a makeup artist for Estee Lauder, and I worked on the weekends doing that. And I tried to do whatever I could to make some extra money to be able to pay my bills. And eventually I ended up it got to a point where I ended up just working full-time at my work, and ended up building a business. So this whole talk for you guys that are just joining is that there's no justified resentments to place blame on, okay? Holding resentment onto somebody or something, the only person that it hurts is you, okay? Because it's the pain you feel, the anger you have, that actually causes you pain. So Denise, you typed in here, and I'm going to kind of share this with the group since you typed it. You said, still trying to let go of resentment for him doing as little as possible, bare minimum every time, mind you, 0 child support. Okay, I get that. I understand that. However, you have your child, and I can see that, but who's hurting here? Is he hurting? He doesn't have to pay child support. He's not hurting. He's not angry. He's going about his merry little way, and the only person that's hurting with this pain is you. I had to learn that the hard way, because when I got a divorce the first time, I was angry. I was angry because he fought me on everything based on, and this whole child support thing. It's like the law requires you to pay 20% for the first child and 25% for the second child. Now, I don't know where you're at, Denise, or why you're not getting child support. Perhaps he doesn't have a job, or I'm not really sure exactly what's going on there. So I'm not really sure why this, Denise, oh, you're just telling me how you found me. Oh, okay. So anyway, so back to this thing with you, it's, the thing is that the pain that you're experiencing is the pain that you're experiencing, and he's not experiencing it. And, one of the best way to get over somebody is not to get under somebody. No, that's not what I was going to say. The best way to get over somebody is to get over somebody. It's like, go and do something that is more productive, that makes you feel good. Anyway, so what I was saying is that, yeah, I was pretty angry at first too, because my ex-husband he wanted to fight me on the child support. He didn't think he should even have to pay it to support my life, that. And he wanted to fight me on everything. He actually was trying to tell his attorney and my attorney that because of the devastation of the divorce, he'll never be able to make the amount of money that he made before, and that he was going to suffer from anxiety. Anyways, he ended up making a lot more money, but I didn't follow through. Like, I didn't chase him for money. In fact, at one point, I eliminated the child support, and that was because I decided that I was tired of fighting with him, because he was trying to do everything he could to keep from paying child support, because it was all about money for him. So he was trying to keep from paying child support. And his whole thing is that he was cool about me spending time with kids or having the kids or whatever. He just didn't want to pay child support. So he was going to fight to get the kids away from me, and try to prove that I was an unfit parent or whatever, just so he didn't have to pay child support. So at some point in time, I just got tired of it. And I said, look, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. I'm tired of fighting. I don't want this anymore. All I want is for us to get along. And so I said, I'm not going to expect you to pay child support. We're going to spend 50-50 with the kids. You draw up the papers with an attorney, and I'm done. And honestly, it brought so much peace, with us. And I said, look, just help out in ways that I can't, like pay for the cell phone for for our son, or put gas in his car, or do whatever it is that you can do to help him. And whatever money that you would have paid in child support, just give it to the kids, okay? If you can do that, then, you know, in different ways, like helping them with stuff that they need, then, and he's like, well, I'm willing to do that. I just didn't want to give it to you. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. I just don't want to fight with you anymore. And honestly, I just forgave him, and I let go of that resentment. I mean, I just let go of it, because I knew that the only person that was hurting was me, because he was probably sitting in the background going, I got her, you know? And a lot of that, I got her, was because he was hurt. I mean, he was really hurt that I left him. And I left him for a lot of reasons, because I couldn't be the person. It's kind of like taking responsibility, like for this. It's like I had to take responsibility for my life purpose, and I couldn't be the person that I needed to be in that relationship. And he was a good person. He was a kind person. And the reality is when I took the child support away, he gave a lot to the kids, and he did a lot for them, and he started being nice to me. So he just had this underlining idea that I was going to go, like, you know, spend the money on something frivolous and not give it to the kids. And I can understand that. And so what I decided to do was to remove the resentment, remove the blame, and start taking actions in my life. Now, I'm not saying that I'm all end all, you know, perfect person. I have made plenty of mistakes in my life. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have been fit to be a spiritual teacher or a life coach until this time of my life, because I had to go through a lot of growth and changes, and it took a lot of time for me. I happen to be blessed with spiritual gifts, but just because you have spiritual gifts doesn't mean that you're, you know, healthy emotionally. And for a long time I wasn't. You know, I suffered from depression. I suffered from anxiety. I had a lot of emotional issues from a lot of pain that had been inflicted on me in my life. And I placed blame to everyone, you guys. So I'm admitting my faults here. I did. Everybody. My life was shit because of everybody else. So one day, I was trying to resolve these problems, okay? I was really trying to work on this. And I was still married at the time, first husband. And I went to a couple of counselors, didn't work. I wasn't getting what I needed. And so I went and hit the self-help aisle in the bookstore. And I sat on the floor and I started reading. And as I started reading, I ran across a book by Wayne Dyer. And it was called You Will See It When You Believe It. Thank you, Holly. And as I'm reading this book, I started to cry. I cried. And it's making me emotional thinking about it. Because if it wouldn't have been for that book, sorry. Anyway, if it wouldn't have been for that book, my life would not be where I'm at now, you know? And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is all my fault. And one of the things he said in the book is, once you identify and take responsibility, forgive yourself. So I did. I forgave myself because I didn't know any better, you know? I didn't know any better. And sorry, I'm getting so emotional here. It's okay, Holly, I'm fine. I'm just remembering a very powerful moment in my life that changed my life. And it's a good cry, Ollie. It's a good cry. And so, okay, let me wipe my tears, you guys. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay. It's a good cry. It's all good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I realized that this was all my fault. And then I decided to forgive myself for not knowing. I didn't know any better. I mean, we only know what we know, right? And half the time we don't even know what we don't know. So until we start learning and we start growing, and this is one of the reasons why I do this for you guys, is because I'm trying to teach you so that you can not have to suffer like I did and not have to go through so much like I did, you know? It wasn't until I knew that I grew, okay? So as I started to grow and I started working on this, and I said, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for my life and realize that it's nobody's fault, okay? I'm the one that has put, you know, I need glasses and I don't wear contacts, so if I go like this, everything's blurry. So, yeah. Anyways, okay, so back to the thing is that what I did was I decided to take responsibility for my life, and as I decided to stop putting blame on other people and start taking responsibility for where I was in my life, I realized that some changes needed to happen. And as I started making those changes, I realized that some of these changes were going to be by eliminating people in my life, and not eliminating people because, hey, it's your fault, but because I was playing the victim, okay? And so, you know, if you play the role of a victim, you always put yourself under a victimizer. Okay, thank you, sweetheart, I appreciate it. And you put yourself under victimizers, and victims have a tendency of being under a lot of victimizers, okay? They always seem to kind of fall underneath their wing. And it's a comfort level because that's all you know. And so one of the things that I needed to do at that time in my life was to stop being a victim and to make that change. And so I did. You know, I talk to women all the time that sit in my office, and I say, you need to stop caring. I tell them, you need to stop caring what other people think. And they go, how do you do that? And I'm like, because you're defining your self-worth based on what other people say. So everybody's going to have a different opinion in you. Okay, so let's go back to Christ, for example. He was coming out with a whole new message that nobody had, okay? The Roman Catholics and the Romans and all that kind of stuff ruled that whole area. And he's coming out with this, God is within you, you know, the kingdom of heaven is within you, you know. He's like, you can find freedom, you don't have to be slaves. You know, he's talking about something completely different than they had heard before. Now, he was a unique person, and you can't be a victim and be that kind of person, right? And here I was wanting to follow this life path, and I had to be an individual. I had to stand out. I had to be different. I had to say a message that nobody else was actually willing to hear at the time, okay? So, and on top of that, I was gifted, okay? When I say gifted, I had like spiritual gifts, okay? And so a lot of people were saying, you're weird, you're weird. You know, Michelle, you're strange, you're weird. And so I had to remove myself from the people that were victimizing me, because if I was to stay in that place, then at that place, I would have to realize that I was the one making myself that way, because nobody was holding chains over me. Nobody was handcuffing me to these people that were victimizing me. I had to make the choice to move away from it. And that was hard, because you still define, even when you're taking that first step, your self-worth is still defined by other people, and they're going to fight to keep you, okay? They will. They will fight to keep you, because you're their little toy that they can kick around. And you think they're going to want to lose that? So when I walked away from all of this and I decided that to take responsibility for me, it means that I needed to start creating a life and creating people in my life that were going to love me and support me and be there for me. And I needed to create, you know, a plethora of people that were not victimizing me. And I had to take that responsibility. And one of those things that I had to do was, you know, exit out of this relationship. And then after I exit out of the relationship, one of the things that I needed to do was forgive him. And it doesn't matter if he does things the way you deem or think and the world thinks that you should do it. I mean, for God's sake, the law said that he was supposed to pay me 25% of his income, okay? So I thought that that's what he should do. So yes, I placed blame on him. But it wasn't until I decided to let all of that go and said, you know, take your money if it's that important to you. I don't want it. Only thing I want is to teach my children love and kindness, and I want to teach them to be successful, and I want to teach them to be go-getters, and I want to, and we can't do that if we're not working as a team together. And we can't do that if you're constantly bashing me. And so what is it going to take here to get us on the same team, okay? And I realized that my kids were more important than my argument with him, okay? And there is no blame placed on him because he is not a bad person. Just because he saw things differently than I did doesn't make him right or wrong. It just means he's this kind of person and I was this kind of person, and we needed to figure out how we can get on the same team to be able to manage our children and get them to become amazing individuals. And we did it. We did. We got on Team Parent, and we just decided that we were going to take our own differences and set them aside. And, you know, he's really good about reinforcing responsibility. And I would tell you, honestly, my kids wouldn't be as responsible as they are if it wouldn't have been for him as the kind of parent that he is. Okay? And my kids wouldn't have the heart and the drive if I wouldn't have been the kind of parent that I am. And so it took two of us to create these amazing kids that both are entrepreneurs making a lot of money. And I'm not saying that that is what defines a person, but I will say that both of them make more money than I do. And, I mean, individually, not together, but, you know, I mean, and so it's awesome that I can say I am partially responsible for this, okay? So there's no justified resentments. We need to take responsibility for the choices that we make in our lives, and we need to assign the responsibility to where you are in your life and the choices that you've made. The choices that you've made is the reason that you're in the place that you are. And the sooner that you grasp that, the faster that you get that, the sooner you can start to make choices that are different, that are going to change your life. So what does that look like for you? Is it forgiveness? Is it saying, okay, it's not your fault that I'm not going to school, so I'm going to figure out a way to go back to school? Is it being stuck in a job, a dead-end job that you absolutely hate? Whose responsibility is that? You know how many people tell me, oh my God, I swear, I don't even know how many. I swear, I think I hear it at least once a week from my clients that say to me, I want to do what you do. That's what I want to do. And I haven't had anybody contact me yet that's told me that they've done it. And it's it's interesting because it's really scary for people to step out and to follow your heart. And there are people out there that are willing to do it. There's a whole network of people that I'm really working on getting connected with that are doing it. And they're making what I call like, there's terminology that was used recently with these people, an upgrade. And it's like a spiritual upgrade. It's like you let go of the ego and you step into the higher self, and you allow the higher self to start controlling your life. And as long as you're sitting in the ego, you're always going to have problems, okay? As long as you're blaming, as long as you're putting responsibility to where you're at on somebody else, as long as you're putting responsibility where you're at on somebody else, guess what? You can't fix it, because you're telling me that it's somebody else's fault. If it's somebody else's fault, then there's no way that you can fix it. Unless you were tied up, put in jail, forced to stay somewhere, you can get out. You can be in an abusive relationship, and you can call one of the 1-800 numbers, or call somebody, or look for help, or, you know, there's ways to get out. You can go back to school. You can take some courses. You can just watch videos like this and start, you know, or you could take some action and actually start doing something. What about body image? Okay. I have women that come to me that say that the reason they're overweight is because of their husband, because their husband likes to eat steak and potatoes and all that kind of stuff. Let me just tell you something. I don't think I've ever really been with a man that didn't eat like that and want you to cook like that. So that's just placing blame. I have always had to watch my diet. I've always been eating healthy. I've always had to exercise. I've had several injuries that have happened to me that have backed me in a corner and caused some problems. But you know what? I always come back out shining, you know? I injured my back really bad. I think it was when Taylor was like 17 or 18 years old, and he's 25 now. And it was it was probably one of the worst, and I was in the best shape of my life, you know? And that injury set me back for many years. And I decided that I was gonna, you know, once I started getting my back better, and I worked on it really hard. I mean, I tried everything. I tried walking and stuff. It wasn't until I started doing yoga, because I wasn't going to give up on it, you know. But sitting still and not moving and stuff caused me to put some weight on. And so I ended up finding out that yoga helped a lot. So when I started doing yoga, then once I did yoga, the stretching helped and everything. And then I started working on building core muscles, and I started getting back in shape again, and things were going really good. And then somebody hit me with their car, had a car accident. And then I had a frozen shoulder, and it ended up messing up all the disc in my back and my neck, and I couldn't raise my arm, and my arm was like, you know, like barely able to do that. And so there wasn't anything I could do. Like every time I tried to jog or anything like that, it was jolting my shoulder, the movement. I tried a lot of different things. And my husband said, Michelle, you're just going to have to wait this one out. You're going to have to wait until you get a little bit of healing and a little bit of physical therapy to kind of get past some of this, and then you can get back in the gym. So I gave it some time, and I did, and now I'm back in the gym. So I'm taking responsibility. Okay, I am not going to put the blame on that guy for hitting me, okay? Because guess what? There's a lot of good things that actually ended up coming from that, you know? Because I was hesitant about getting a new car, and I was driving around a junker for a long time. And everybody kept on telling me, Michelle, get a new car, get a new car. You know, I even had some of my male friends say, oh, you're too pretty to not have a new car. You shouldn't be driving a junker. And it wasn't a junker because I chose a junker. It was a junker because I had it so long. Like, I bought it, I think it was a year old, and I just kept it forever. So, you know, and so it was really kind of funny, and I literally like did that, and so when I got into the car accident, my son was the one that was really pushing for me to buy a new car, and between him and my husband, they were both like, come on, Michelle. I mean, everybody's just like really like, I just was struggling with that because that was a car payment. My insurance was going to go up, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so I was just like, you know, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this. I want to get my book published first, and I want to get this. And I got this money. All this money right here needs to go into advertising, and all this money needs to do this. And I was trying to allocate and have this grand old plan, but apparently the universe had a different plan for me. And you know what? I'm really glad I got that car. I got the most awesome car. And I didn't go overboard. I mean, I ended up buying a Kia Soul, and I got that nice little lime green colored one. And I love my car. It is awesome. It is so much fun to drive, and probably my favorite car I've ever had. So anyways, this isn't about my car buying skills. This is about, for you guys that are coming in, there's no justified resentments to place blame on, and that's what we're talking about. And what I was talking about with my car was that somebody hit me, and of course, you know, I wanted to really get mad about it because I didn't have a car payment. You know, I mean, my car was in good shape. I never had problems with it, so it was like, why would now I have to go buy a new car? Well, actually, it was a blessing in disguise, you know. Because honestly, truthfully, it's really weird, but having this new car just kind of like changed my outlook on how I even viewed myself, and I didn't even realize it. It was like I just felt better. And it was interesting because I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought I was going to feel stressed. But I decided, instead of placing blame on this guy that hit me, I was going to take responsibility for my choices, okay, in life. And I was going to roll with it. So if this happened, it happened. It is what it is. So therefore, you know, it is what it is. And so the thing is, you know, Linda, I think you just came in late, and I'm pretty much about ready to kind of wrap this whole thing up. So watch the replay. This is a really interesting topic about assigning responsibility to yourself and not putting blame, because there's no justified resentments as long as you're holding on resentment. I don't care what the reason is, you have got to let that go, okay? Because the only person that you are hurting is yourself. And you know, every single conversation that we're having, you guys, always comes back to the same thing, doesn't it? Forgiveness. Love. It's like every time I come up with this topic, I end up coming right back to that same thing. Forgiveness and love. Forgiveness and love. It's like, let go of that pain, because that baggage is affecting everything in your life. So, you guys, thank you so much for supporting these videos. And hey, if anybody knows how that I can take my live videos and I can download them, and so that I can actually put them on YouTube, I would appreciate, because I really need to kind of transfer some of these videos over to YouTube. I'm actually pasting my YouTube channel. Please go over to YouTube and subscribe. I'm trying to build my YouTube channel, and I would appreciate it if you did subscribe. It would make me very happy. And anyways, you guys, you have an incredibly awesome day. Remember to always be blessed, to stay in the state of love. Remember, love is acceptance. Let go of the issues of your past, of what's going on with you right now. Forgive yourself, love, and just be happy. Go outside and take a walk. Weather's nice. Y'all have a great day.